Hi, and welcome to the third annual Joe and Karl and sometimes Scott NCAA Tournament Selection Show. This year, as always, we'll be going through the NCAA Tournament and giving you our picks for who's going to win. Alongside me, as always, is my friend Karl Smith.
Thank you, good to be here.
And our statistician, Scott Standard.
Also good to be here.
All right, and as always, I'm Joe Krzyzewski. Should probably put that in there. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Midwest region, and Karl, why don't you start us off?
Well, we're going to start off with the 116 matchup. It'll be Louisville versus North Carolina A&T. I'm going to go with Louisville.
Yeah, I don't really see there being much of a problem here. I'm going to go with Louisville. Scott, what do you got?
Louisville all the way.
And I see you got some notes there, Scott. What do you got for us?
Basically, there's a lot of good notes for Louisville, and the only note I have for NCAT is 5-game win streak after last night. So they're hot right now, but I don't think
This
they're
is
going
the
to
time of year they want to catch them then.
And streaks come to an end, so I'm writing down Louisville.
I'm going to keep it open just in case.
Good time. All right. That brings us to the 8-9 matchup, Colorado State versus Missouri. Personally, I'm going to go with the slight upset, even though you can never really call it an upset. The 8-9, I like Missouri. Karl?
I like Colorado State.
Oh, Scott, as the tiebreaker, what do you got for us?
I'm going for Missouri. They're second in the nation in rebounds, and they're just shooting the ball well. They're fast. I think they're going to beat Colorado State.
Scott, you're the best one at this. All right. Scott, why don't you start us off with the 5-12 matchup there?
5-12, fifth seed. We got Oklahoma State Cowboys out of the Big 12 fighting the Oregon Ducks out of the Pac-12.
Sure.
And I think I got the Oregon Ducks here because they're just fast and I think they won the Pac-12 and they've got a really bad seed for winning the Pac-12.
Karl, you have any
They did win the Pac-12 conference tournament, actually.
They got
They didn't win the regular season, but the Pac-12 was just awful, as they were last year, if you remember correctly. I'm also going to go look at Oregon also because they're good, but they're underseeded. But
Interesting stat here. I was going with Oregon as well. They were 21-4 when their point guard was in the lineup, and then he got injured, and that's when they stopped being ranked and ended up losing a few games. And he came back, and that's when they won the tournament. So, I actually picked them as a 12-5 upset as well. Another 3-0 way, which brings us to the 4-13 matchup: St. Louis and New Mexico State. Personally, I'm going with St. Louis. Karl, as our A10 expert, what do you got?
St. Louis coming out of the A10, won the A10 versus New Mexico State, winning the WAC. Funny thing about New Mexico State here, their center, 7'5", Simbular, was actually a Xavier commit at one point. Just so you know, he has 83 blocks on the season. I like New Mexico State, but I don't like them enough. I think St. Louis plays like a top 10 team in the nation, so I'm going to go with St. Louis. Scott, you got anything on me?
I got St. Louis all the way. Interesting fact, actually they lost to Xavier earlier in the season, A10 matchup, classic one. But they got a solid defense. I think they're going to shut down New Mexico State. And Karl, what is a Billiken? I've never really understood.
I believe it's a some kind of rag doll, a sacred voodoo doll, some kind of doll. Google it.
That's just
Wikipedia.
a weird mascot.
Interesting. Okay, Karl, why don't you lead us into the next matchup?
The next matchup will be Memphis winning this Conference USA tournament versus either.
That's St. Mary's now.
Nope, it's St. Mary's now. Yeah, large out of the West Coast Conference. Usually I would say St. Mary's doesn't have a chance because they just played on Tuesday, but VCU, the historic run a few years ago, were a playing game. I'm going to go with Memphis, though. They're pretty athletic, pretty fast. As Scott seems to be having reasoning for the other two teams winning would be they're fast, so I'm going to go with Memphis.
Basically.
Scott, what do you got here?
It's a pretty good stat. I
Stat for a second.
put together my stats before last night's game, so I had Middle Tennessee beating Memphis, but this just throws everything off. So I'm going to go with Memphis.
Well, thank you, Scott, for that useless bunch of information. I was going to pick Memphis as well. I just don't think St. Mary's has it this year, although they've been pretty good in the past. Which takes us to the 3-14 game, Michigan State versus Valpo. Karl, who are you taking here?
I'm going to go with the Spartans. I like Valpo out of the horizon, but I think Michigan State, Tom Izzo's going to, do his Tom Izzo thing, get him out of the first round.
Yeah, I got Michigan State, too. They're just too good. I don't see an upset happening here. Scott, you got anything to add?
Michigan State, they're always winning the tournament.
Fair enough. That brings us to the 7-10 matchup, Creighton versus Cincinnati. I'm going to go with Creighton. They've been a mid-major for a while. It's been in the tournament. They always win some games. I think they're going to be tough to beat, and I don't think Cincinnati has the firepower to do it. Karl?
Don't forget about Dylan McDermott.
This one.
Averaging about 24 points a game or so.
Doug
Doug McDermott, 23 points per game.
23 points a game. I actually like Cincinnati here, though.
Scott. the tiebreaker.
Interesting you picked Cincinnati because you hate them, but I think I'm going to go with Creighton. They're first in the nation in field goal percentage. They're shooting a whopping 50.8%. And like Karl said, Doug McDermott's just phenomenal right now.
Bill McDermott, the actor, is pretty good too.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And our last first round matchup of the Midwest region, Albany hopefully will upset the scumbag Duke Blue Devils. Unfortunately, hope matters not here. I think Duke's too good, and I think they just walk all over Albany. Karl.
Well, Albany does have some conference experience. They almost upset UConn as a 15 seed a few years ago.
Everybody has conference experience.
Yeah, I think it'll be a close one. I think Duke will pull it out, unfortunately.
Scott, anything interesting to add with your notes?
I think it's interesting Karl said pull it out, but Duke all the way.
Scott's note actually says Albany doesn't matter. Duke.
Yes.
Astute points. Okay, well, our first round 3 matchup of this region ends up being Louisville taking on Missouri. I actually think Louisville is obviously the number 1 seed for a reason. I think they're gonna get through this one fairly easy as well. What are you thinking?
Well, even though Missouri is the second rebounding team in the nation, I will go with Louisville also.
That's Scott. You can say something.
I'm going with Louisville. I think their full court press is going to slow down Missouri, and they're just going to beat them all around.
Missouri is fast, though.
They're fast. Not faster than Peyton Siva and Russ Smith.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right, that brings us to Oregon versus St. Louis, and honestly, I'm going to take the 12 seed again. I think Oregon's going to walk all over the weaker conference that is the A-10. Karl, what do you got to say?
Interesting note here. The Atlantic 10 got 5 teams in the tournament, while the Pac-12 got three in at 6, 12, and 12.
Nobody cares.
Okay, just saying.
Who you
We're wrong in a
taking?
weaker conference.
Who are you taking?
I'm taking St. Louis.
I think I'm going to go with St. Louis, too. They just have a good defense, but I think we'll shut down the Pac-12 team.
It'll be a good game.
Quack, quack.
Go ahead. Let's start us off.
Memphis versus Michigan State. I'm going to go with Michigan State. Take the chalk here.
Yeah, I got to say, I don't really see Memphis doing much here. Michigan State is the easy answer, I believe.
I agree.
Izzo.
Michigan State.
Now that we're done with Memphis, I just want to say I really dislike the look of their coach. He's kind of ugly.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I got.
Fair enough. That leaves us with Creighton and Duke, and while Creighton's a good story, and I would like them to win, I still kind of thinking Duke's going to win this thing, so I'm going to go with Duke. Karl.
I think Cincinnati's going to beat the Creighton, so give me Duke.
Solid point.
It's going to be if that happens, I think it'll be a really good matchup because they both can score a lot of points. So I think it'll be a fun game to watch, but Duke's going to pull it out.
Take the over. That's what Scott says.
Yeah.
Well, we've advanced the top 4 seeds. Good work, guys. That leaves Louisville and St. Louis, and I didn't think St. Louis was going to beat Oregon. I don't think they're going to beat Louisville either. Mr. A10?
Yeah, no. This is where St. Louis's run ends. Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville. All the way.
Yeah. Next time you say all the way, say spoiler alert, please.
Continue with your...
No, all the way for that game. All the way to the
Sorry.
end. All 4 quarters.
Don't confuse the viewers.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We'll get
Michigan State versus Duke.
We'll get that in post.
Get that in post, guys.
For sure.
I like Michigan State here.
Michigan State? Why?
I think it's my pure hatred for Duke.
As somebody who understands pure hatred for Duke, I think they're going to win. Because I kind of also...
Kelly Schwesh. Bill Schwesh. Kelly... You know who I'm talking about.
No.
I wish I knew her Twitter handle because I think it's Kelly SWEZ.
Oh, I don't know how to say that last
Yeah.
name. Yeah.
She is going to be happy that you picked Duke for her.
I hate her.
She will not watch this
She's
anyways.
overrated. All right, I'm going with Duke. He's going with Michigan State. Scott.
As much as I hate to do it and put a 1 versus a 2, I think I'm going to have to go with Duke. I think they're going to outscore Michigan State by a lot.
All right, we got Duke moving on to take on Louisville. Duke-Louisville, I think this is where our first 1 seed goes down because with the way my season's been going with North Carolina, this means Duke is destined to go to the Final Four, so I'm going to take Duke.
Yeah, I'm going to go Louisville.
I think I'm going to have to go Duke. From what I've seen of Louisville, they don't have the big inside presence, and I think Mason Plumlee's going to just dominate in the post.
So, from the Midwest, we got the 2 seed Duke Blue Devils moving on. Okay, this is where you can shut it off.